Here we go again, another episode of the Fox Experience, and I am on one today with COVID and with the lockdowns and with the impending end of 2020 as we head into the beginning of a very hectic 2021. I'm not going to waste any time today on an intro. I'm going to get into freedom, being an American, and what is going on in our country with people so unbelievably willing to give up their constitutional and God-given rights. Unbelievable what's going on, and let's get right down to it. This episode is sponsored by Blazed Resin, a handmade resin art company that was started by a friend of mine, Diamond Chanel. She started customizing resin art as a hobby, and she's turned it into a business with amazing, very high-quality products. Check them out at blazedresin.com or on Instagram at blazedresin. That's B-L-A-Z-E-D resin, R-E-S-I-N. If you want some unique resin art that'll look great no matter where in your house you have it, look no further than Blazed Resin. They customize in stash boxes, ashtrays, trays, custom wine racks, and coasters that'll match whatever you'd like to pair them with. And right now, place an order on blazedresin.com and use the promo code BLAZED10 for $10 off. That's BLAZED10 and see what type of art your imagination can come up with. Blazed Resin, a handmade resin art company. Here we are going into the month of December, and we have reached the point of insanity where pandemic fatigue is definitely setting in all over the nation and definitely all over the globe. The lockdown restrictions that are now being talked about, we are now about 8 or 9 months into this whole situation. First, cases of coronavirus started popping up a little bit in the United States, January, February, and then really in March is when things exploded. And here we are in December, just got past Thanksgiving, and our fearless leaders definitely let our Thanksgiving be anything but stress-free with the way that they tried controlling how we celebrate the holiday and who we spend it with. It was really an infringement upon our rights, and I don't know how a lot of people aren't more pissed off about this, but I am really on one. I've been wanting to do this type of episode for about a week, 2 weeks now. We're living in two different realities in regards to many different topics, whether it's COVID, whether it's the election, whether it's who's going to become the president on January 20th, 2021. What are the situations with schools? What are the situations with vaccines? How deadly is the virus? All of this and so much more. This is all contributing to mass hysteria in a dumbed down version in the sense that things are still overall under control, but there is a large segment of the population, myself included, that are sick and tired of this nonsense. The fatigue for the pandemic started setting in once 15 days to slow the spread turned into 30, turned into 40, turned into 100, and so on. Once we had the protests in May over the George Floyd situation in Minneapolis, Minnesota, riots and protests ensued, and the pandemic took a back seat. Now we are 6 months later from that, and we are after a presidential election, approaching the end of the year, and here we are with governors and people around the nation hoping and advocating for a second round of lockdowns. These people are out of their mind, and they don't understand the effects of what they are doing on the rest of the nation while locking down healthy people to protect the vulnerable. It's now been 8 or 9 months since this thing started, and we've learned so much more about it. Therapeutics have gotten better. There are now more doctors on the cases. There are now more studies going on around the world. We know more about the virus, yet the further along we get in this, the lockdowns in some places don't seem to be subsiding in any way at all. In New York City, Mayor de Blasio and Governor Cuomo, and in California with Governor Newsom, and in Michigan with Governor Whitmer, these lockdowns to them are really just a political ploy. They are power-hungry elected officials, and they're abusing their power. Case in point, Governor Cuomo in New York City thought that bike shops should be open, liquor stores should be open, acupuncturists should be open, things like that should be open, but you should not be able to go to your place of worship. Now, what sense does that make in the world? That you're allowed to go get a bottle of liquor during the time of a pandemic, but you cannot go to confession. You cannot go seek help from your local pastor. You cannot go seek help from your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, at your church, or whoever it is that you pray to. You're not allowed to go to your mosque. You're not allowed to go to your synagogue. But if you need that fifth of Crown Royal, Governor Cuomo's got you covered. Now, we're starting to see all over the nation that people are getting tired of this. We saw weeks ago when California and Governor Newsom tried putting into place a 10 p.m. curfew in California to stop the spread of coronavirus because, of course, all we know is the data says is that at 10:01, according to the data and according to the science, at 10:01, the virus becomes so deadly that everyone must go back into their homes. Well, in Huntington Beach, California, there were thousands and thousands of people. It may have been hundreds and hundreds, but it was a large group of people, at least 1,000 people, in the streets of Huntington Beach after 10 p.m. with their American flags. We will not comply. We will not deal with this dictator-like leadership that Governor Newsom is so enthralled by. He gets off on the power that he has. He gets off on making people struggle, I feel. It's an abomination that a person like Gavin Newsom is in charge of one of the largest states in the union, on the coast, home of Los Angeles, once a glorious, beautiful city, now is just miles and miles and miles of skid row, needles, overdoses, homelessness, all of that. And then Gavin Newsom, over the past few days, this past weekend in California, he wanted to celebrate the small businesses in California. So he sent out a tweet to his followers, let's celebrate California small businesses. It's home to 4 million small businesses in the state of California. So when we're shopping on this Black Friday or Cyber Monday or during these holidays, make sure you support those small businesses of California. Hey, Governor Newsom, you shut down all the small businesses. The small businesses are shuttered and closed. Every small business that tried making it, you shut down. You made it impossible for small businesses to even succeed, to even make it, to even put food on their plates. And you got the balls to go out there and say, hey guys, don't forget about those small businesses in California. Go F yourself, Gavin Newsom. Are you out of your damn mind? How sick and twisted do you have to be, Kendall? How sick and twisted do you have to be to tell people to wear masks in their houses and tell them how many people they can have over for Thanksgiving, yet you are at a restaurant, you're at dinner with the California Health Department director, the person who's making the rules for these lockdowns. You and him or her are at dinner at a place that has a minimum plate of $400 a plate to celebrate a colleague's birthday, a friend's birthday, whatever it may be. You're better than us, Gavin Newsom? Is that what you think? You're not better than anybody. You bleed red. I bleed red. What makes you different? You got a cool haircut? You look like a Ken doll? You're related to Nancy Pelosi? Why anybody still lives in your state and gives you any type of support is beyond me. You are a disgrace to this entire nation. You're a disgrace to the position that you hold. You're a disgrace to every single solitary thing that we hold dear in this nation. And I hope to God that the people of California wake up and get you the hell out of here. Governor Cuomo in New York, you too. How dare you tell people that they can't go to their place of worship? How dare you tell people that that is not essential, but going to the liquor store is? If you got a flat on your bike, that's essential, and you can go get your bike fixed. That's essential to Governor Cuomo in New York. Supreme Court said, yeah, not so much. We may be in a pandemic, but the Constitution does not take a back seat. The Constitution doesn't get put on pause. The Constitution doesn't take a sabbatical. No, we have a Constitution no matter what. We know what the dangers of this virus are. We're learning more about it every single day. We know what the dangers of this virus are after 7, 8, 9 months of 7,000 different opinions from this one, that one, medical professional, non-medical professional, TV expert, Fauci, Cuomo, Trump, all of them. If you guys aren't sick of this, I really do not know what is up with you. Are you an American? Have you forgotten what it means to be an American, a free American with rights that are not to be infringed upon? Do you know what that means? Do you know that you are being taken over and your rights are being violated no matter what is going on right now? Pandemic or no pandemic? Wake up, people. What's up to all my listeners? Just want to remind you, if you can, to head over and rate and review the podcast on any platform that you are listening to the podcast on. If you've got a comment about any of the episodes, just go ahead and leave me a review and drop us a 5-star. Again, this really helps the spread of the podcast. It really helps the word get out, and I'd greatly appreciate it if you take a few seconds to head on over to your choice of podcast platforms, throw the show a 5-star rating, and review it if you can. If you enjoy the show, I'd really appreciate if you help spread the word. And now, back to the show. They're now starting to tell people who's essential and who's not essential. Anybody who relies on a paycheck, any person that relies on a paycheck, they're essential. Any person that relies on putting food in their mouth, which requires a job, which requires money, which requires businesses to be open, all of those people are essential. We are all essential. How degrading must that be for some people to be told that you're non-essential? That you're non-essential. That it's okay for you to go shopping at Target and see all the people working at Target. They're essential. But whatever your job is, it's not essential. And the governor of your state, a person you've never met, they're the one deciding this month if you are going to be able to put food on the table. They're going to be the ones to decide, are you going to be able to pay rent? Are you essential? Think about that. I'm fortunate enough, and I've said it plenty of times on the show before, I'm fortunate enough that during the pandemic, with my job, I was able to work from home. Yes, my job was affected by it, but we were still able to work. We were able to work without missing a beat. I am so fortunate, and I am so blessed that I was in a position to have a job like this, where I guess we're considered essential to be doing what I'm doing. I don't know what threshold my company that I work for, I don't know what threshold they met to be called essential. I don't even know what businesses there are that aren't essential. Anything that relies on having its doors open to bring income in, to provide money for the owners of the business who employ people who also rely on money to provide food for their families and their children. Like, what are we talking about anymore? They're telling people that they're non-essential. That because this virus is so deadly that it's okay for these people to go to work and not these people to go to work. It's okay for you to go into a store right now and do grocery shopping. I was just in one of my local grocery stores for probably a solid hour doing, a shop. My fiance and I were doing some cooking tonight. So it's okay for me to do that. But a business that's called non-essential by a governor in a state, say I lived in New York City, the governor can decide that it's okay for me to do that. What sense does it make that if you're considered a non-essential employee to these governors, in these states that are making these draconian, lockdown and, restriction mandates and orders, whatever they're called, why is it okay for that non-essential person to still go to the local grocery store, the local Walmart, and do a shop? Why is that? Did we consider that? All the teachers that don't want to be in the classroom right now, there are so many teachers that don't want to be in the classroom. There's call-outs all the time here in Arizona. It's a big thing. They're always protesting. There's always red for ed, wear red for, education. They always have props on, midterms. And, every ballot year there are props on the ballot for helping the teachers here in Arizona. They're always striking. It feels. I've lived here 10 years almost. No, it's going to be 10 years this month. Wow. So I've lived here 10 months and it feels like they've striked at least 10 times. I don't know. It could be more, it could be less. In regards to the teachers, my point is these teachers that are calling out, or these teachers that are, in opposition to going back to in-person learning, are these teachers not also going to the grocery store? Are these people also not leaving their homes? Because some of them are in opposition to going back to school because they're saying they feel in danger. They feel that it's a threat to their health. If all of these teachers are so afraid to return to school, where their transmission level with children is supposed to be exponentially lower than any single part of the world, according to the CDC and Dr. Fauci, according to the both of them, K through 12 children and students, the safest place for them to be is in-person learning. There's been no recorded cases of any teacher picking up the coronavirus from a child. None. There have been teachers that have gotten sick with the coronavirus. Yes, there have been teachers that have gotten sick, and unfortunately and sadly, there have been people whose profession is teacher. There have been those people that have succumbed to the virus, unfortunately. None of those cases are proven to have been that those teachers picked up the coronavirus from a child at school. And several of them, if you would like, I will sort them. So just let me know if you need to know these sources, because those stories are out there. The teachers that got the virus, is in 3 cases in the United States, they knew where the person got the virus, and it was outside of school. So why do these teachers feel that school is so dangerous? All I know is that they're getting a paid vacation right now. Your tax dollars right now that you pay wherever you live that go to public school, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent and you pay for your child to go to school, you pay property taxes, you pay all of that in the city, in the township, in the county you live in, and whatever school district that your child goes to. Private school if you pay for private school. All of that money that you're spending, all of that investment that you're making, these teachers are saying no, and they're getting paid to stay home. They feel that their lives are in danger. There's other teachers that are praying to go back to school soon, praying to go back to school in person where they can learn and start getting this ball rolling in their own profession and helping getting these kids back on track after missing so much school. There are children in Fairfax, Virginia. Their teachers union doesn't want to go back until the fall of 2021. That means the kids will be out of school for between a year and 2 years out of in-person learning. How is that supposed to help? When Donald Trump said, we can't let the cure be worse than the virus, everyone mocked him. Every single person mocked him. So many people, his haters, all of them said, oh my God, how dare he say that? Look at what's happening. The suicide rates are up. The depression rates are up. Doctors that deal with psychiatry and mental health disorders, they are being run ragged by how many people that they are seeing. I know that one situation with a doctor that I know that probably around July, August-ish, he said that there had been more suicides for his patients in the first 6 months of the year, this year. He said that there had been more suicides of his patients in the first 6 months of this year than he had ever seen in a full year in his entire life practicing with his patients. This is the cure being worse than the virus. This is the cure being worse than the virus. They're saying the cure to the virus is staying home, not doing anything, stay at home, lock down, be in fear, don't go to work, don't send your kids to school. They're doing all of that while people are committing suicide. Depression rates are going through the roof. The pharmaceutical industry is banking because medication and antidepressants, they're becoming such a necessity in our society right now for people to survive. I have bipolar disorder. I take medication every single day of my life, and I have consistently for 12, 13, 14 years. And I will for the rest of my life. That's something that I wear on my sleeve proudly, that I overcame that as a child and all of the struggles that I went through in my teens and my late teens when, my mental health disorder was something that I didn't have under control. Thank God that he allowed me to manage my own illnesses and my own demons. There are people that are not as fortunate as me that have been dealing with mental health disorders for their entire lives, but they still can't get it under control. They've been looking for the right medications. They've been looking for the right hope. And say things were starting to look up in January of 2020 and February of 2020, and all of a sudden, all of that momentum in their lives and all of that positivity wiped away. Back to your home. 8 months. What does that do to people? Every person that I know that's gotten the coronavirus, every single person that I know that has gotten the coronavirus, and just off the top of my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, probably around 10 people have gotten the coronavirus that I know personally, on a personal level. All of them have recovered. Someone that I grew up with, one of my best friends from my childhood, his mother passed away early this year. He was told it was due to COVID. When he got her death certificate, she died of pneumonia. And she had another reason that she passed away as reason number 2. And guess what reason number 3 was on the death certificate? COVID. She was counted as COVID death. Every single person that I know that has gotten the coronavirus that didn't have pneumonia all had a pretty decent cold, a cough, a little bit of a runny nose, hoarse, lost a little bit of taste in their mouth for a couple days, headaches. Guess what? 3, 4, 5 days chilling at home and getting better, back to normal. I'm sick and tired of this. You should be sick and tired of this. We are Americans. We are born free. We will stay free. And right now, there are people in this country and people in this world that don't want us to be free. They want us in our homes. They want us to be in fear. Let's not give it to them. Let's not please them. Let's not give them any more firepower. Because it must be intoxicating to be able to just shut down millions of people, to just put millions of people in their homes. And in the state of California, to be able to threaten to turn off electricity and water during the Thanksgiving holiday if water companies and electricity companies seeing abnormal amounts of water and electricity going to places, which means there's probably a party, which means they probably have to break it up. So they should shut off your water and your electricity. If you live in California and your water and your electricity is getting shut off and you're not doing anything about it, why the hell are you living in that state? It's time we take back this country. It's time we take back our lives. Screw a new normal. Let's get back to normal. Let's get our lives back. This is the United States of America. We are free. We have First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, right to protest, all of that. Freedom to practice whatever religion you want, pray to whatever God you want. And I know if another lockdown comes, because there are people in Arizona right now, we had 5 deaths yesterday. 5. And there are people in this state advocating for a 3-week lockdown. They want a 3-week lockdown that doesn't let up until 3 days before Christmas. Over 5 deaths. Rising cases, absolutely. Let's get our country back. Let's get our lives back. And the only way it happens is if we push back. Let's start pushing back. Let's start using our First Amendment rights. Let's start speaking up and telling them how we feel. They work for us. Don't forget that. They work for us. Do not forget that they work for us. We elect them in. We give them their job. And then they work for us. And now they're trying to control us. Do you see the problem here? I really hope you do, and I really hope you wake up soon. I'm really tired of the fear that, people are living in. I feel bad for the people that, haven't seen family members and literally haven't left their houses in months. I feel bad for those people. I feel bad for those people that still haven't gotten back to work. I feel bad for the families that have lost family members due to the coronavirus or due to another reason related to the coronavirus, such as my buddy, who I grew up with, who lost his mother, also lost his brother in this pandemic. Rest in peace, Rosie DeFabo. Rest in peace, Billy DeFabo. You guys were good to me my entire childhood. And I can't believe 2020 took the both of you. But unfortunately, Billy had some bad luck at the beginning of the pandemic and lost his job, and his family situation wasn't going so well. And Billy decided that it would be better not to live with it anymore. Let's think of those families. Let's think of those families that are losing people to the pandemic for reasons other than COVID. I'm ready to be an American. I'm ready to start acting like an American. And if they try to throw another lockdown on it, they better believe that I will be attending my first protest. I will be exercising that right. Very peacefully. Very nice. I'm not there to cause no problems. I don't want to burn nothing down. I want to stand there with an American flag and tell people that those elected officials work for me and that I have a right to live my life how I see fit, not how you see fit. I'm an adult. Start treating me like one. Start treating all of us like adults. Start thinking about these children. Start thinking about these people that are hurting. Start thinking about these people that are losing their lives and their livelihoods for reasons other than COVID or for reasons related to COVID. I'm tired of it, and I hope you guys are too. Thank you so much for bearing with me during this rant. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you come back. This was an awesome episode. I'm sick and tired of this. Everybody, the COVID pandemic, the COVID fatigue, it's all starting to set in. It's time to take our country back. It's time to take our lives back. I'm JP Fox. This is The Foxperience.